This is Jennifer Schmidt with the Schriever Guardian Resiliency Team. In this video, I'm going to talk about cortisol and how it impacts mental and physical health. This is not a full in-depth science review, but hopefully it's enough to explain why I recommend the tips and skills in other videos. I believe it is important to understand some of the science and why related to what all of us helping folks recommend. If you're anything like me, it is really hard to buy into something just because some expert tells you to do it. That is why I want to talk a bit about cortisol and how it impacts our mood, anxiety, outlook, physical well-being, and how we influence production of it in our systems. So first, let's talk about what cortisol is. Cortisol is a hormone produced by the adrenal glands that regulates multiple symptoms in our body to generate overall resilience. It keeps us in balance for optimal performance. In times of threat, the adrenal glands will produce a larger amount to redistribute the body's glucose level to address whatever the threat may be. That is why it is sometimes referred to as the stress hormone. Cortisol is designed to be helpful. That is why we have it. It's not the enemy here, as it keeps us balanced throughout the day. It helps to regulate our metabolism and our energy levels. It helps to regulate our immune system to fight off diseases. It helps maintain our blood pressure. It also actually plays a really important piece in our sleep-wake cycle, as we will produce more of it in the morning and less of it at night, so we can kind of wind down and go to sleep. And it has a really large impact on our cognition and on our mood. So, how does it work when we are under threat? Well, information comes into our brain that we recognize as an imminent threat. Say, for instance, you are hiking. You're very happy, relaxed. It's a great day. Until you see a bear in your path. Your brain recognizes the threat and immediately releases multiple chemicals. However, adrenaline and cortisol are the two big guns. They help you manage this threat. This release will result in the fight, flight, or freeze response. As the name suggests, it helps us to fight the threat, run away from the threat, or freeze, basically go numb, to help us manage the impending pain. Some people experience this as a dissociation or a deer in the headlights type of experience. Overall, it is a super helpful caveman brain response. So, how does it do this? Well, it helps by redistributing your glucose or your energy to your heart, or your brain, or your muscles, or whatever your body needs to address whatever the threat is. However, that energy does have to come from somewhere. So it means that other areas such as metabolism and immune function, well, they kind of get shortchanged. You stop digesting food and you stop fighting off illness, and your body inflammation rises. But it's okay because the threat is going to go away and your system returns to normal. An interesting part of this, though, and this is where the mental health part gets tricky, is that the release trigger is set off by our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions of our environment. If you don't have the belief that encountering a bear in the woods is dangerous, you won't have the response. So it depends on what you perceive as a threat. This is how our personal beliefs and perceptions impact our overall physical and mental health. In the bear example, my personal belief, for what it's worth, is that I would like to quickly perceive it as a threat, unless it's in a zoo. So, what happens when our cortisol level is too high for too long? So we're talking about chronic stress here. Usually threatening environments and our response and beliefs related to these environments is a lot like getting a slow IV drip of cortisol. So therefore, everything it manages becomes unbalanced, and over time can really build up and develop into a number of symptoms. So you can get weight gain, kind of specifically around your midsection. You can get high blood pressure, weakened immune system, sleep problems, anxiety and depression. And last but not least, your risk of chronic diseases goes up, such as diabetes and heart disease. I'm not saying that cortisol is the only thing causing these problems, but high cortisol certainly doesn't help them. So again, in closing, I believe it is important to understand how cortisol works to better understand how changing some of our thoughts and behaviors will reduce our high level of cortisol to a more balanced level. And then we will feel an overall better sense of health and well-being. So I will cover many tips and topics on how to do this in upcoming videos. As always, if you have thoughts or concerns, feel free to reach out to me or to your mental health provider, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.